So, welcome to the Season 2 commentary of Sarge and Friends. To start off...
Easy come.
Easy come, that's right. But Season 2 was a little bit more hectic than Season 1. There was a lot of production issues, especially later on, because, I was sort of on hiatus, but I was also still doing videos. I just wasn't talking to Corbin, really. So
Yeah, the best part of the Sarge and Friends videos was gone.
Okay. But first episode of this season was The Problem with Pedro. Obviously a parody of The Problem with Apu. Where we have this reporter named Benjamin Nur, also known as Beaner for short, going around and interviewing people about why the show is offensive and like getting different perspectives from the people behind making the show and people who find it offensive. We find out that apparently it also establishes the alternate universe where Pedro and Sergeant Bastard escape the show and are in our world. And then there's the John Redeye and Corbin Waffles characters, which are obviously ourselves. Originally in this episode, I voiced Corbin Waffles and Corbin voiced John Redeye. But then later on, when I was doing later stuff, I did the voice of John Redeye when I was doing it myself.
Yeah, I think this episode introduced Beaner, who I think is the funniest character I've done.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He sometimes reminds me. I just have this observation now, even though I made the character, but like he kind of reminds me of Willy Wonka when he's like, oh no, like he's like he doesn't care.
Stop, help.
Yeah.
But also. Corbin, I think one of my favorite lines from this episode is, I'm so Mexican that when I go to my local Wally World, I get myself a breakfast burrito, and you know what? Sometimes I even go for the spicy sauce.
Go for the spicy sauce.
Good stuff. This episode, this was the season, never mind. This episode was also the first one to have Chudder's title card in the series. That he drew, and it also had Chudder's art for the alternate universe versions of the characters.
I like how stylized his artwork is.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I think that the three of us each have very unique styles that we do the characters in, and I think that that's part of what makes it so interesting when we have...
My style's about to get a lot better.
Oh yeah, we've been working on Season 3, and Corbin's art for Season 3, and also for the Season 2 finale, have been really good. Because at the time we're recording this, we actually haven't finished the Season 2 finale, even though we're doing the Season 2 commentary. But we will be finishing the Season 2 finale before the end of this video.
And half of the artwork in that episode is, like, old artwork, and then the other half is, like, the newer artwork, which is, like, a lot better.
Yeah.
So you get to see that contrast as, the episode kind of evolves.
Yeah.
Like, in its artwork.
Yeah, it gets better as it goes on.
I like how we're talking about that episode, because we're talking about this episode.
Right. But yeah, so The Problem with Pedro, I think it was really fun, because me and Corbin got to make fun of each other and poke fun at different, things about each other. Like, Corbin made fun of my sort of cockiness and, I wouldn't call myself pretentious, but, maybe quasi-pretentiousness that Corbin, wanted to make fun of and, say that I'm, think of myself as, smart or something. And then, of course, we go off on unrelated tangents, like his Fallout addiction and apparently me being a serial killer.
Yeah, and then you make fun of my
craving attention.
My attention seeking.
Yeah.
I don't think that's as big of a problem I have now.
No, but at the time when we made the episode, that was definitely a thing you did a lot. I specifically made, the reference to you, spamming shit in the chat and not stopping even when I told you it wasn't funny anymore, because you used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm funny, okay? I'm funny.
You said that, yeah. But then there was I also like how I got confused when you were singing when you were singing Bohemian Rhapsody, and I kept saying "Easy Come."
Yeah. Also, there was the scene. The thing is, so when we drew pictures of each other, we were trying to make as accurate drawings as possible. But I gave Corbin the wrong hair and eye color. I don't know why.
Yeah, look at that though. It was almost perfect.
Yeah, but also we gave our voices sound nothing like what our real voices are and we gave each other weird catchphrases that we never say. I had you saying zippity doo, and you had me saying this is ludicrous. and then of course we had Clancy Brown thinking that he's actually Mr. Krabs. And we had Anthony playing himself as the Sarge and Friends fan club leader. And saying he's a Pedro file, which is a great line.
Yeah, and the way he says it is really good. He goes, "Yeah, I'm a Pedro file." Like he gets really excited about it.
Yeah.
And he goes, "And I will have an egg."
Yeah. It's a fun episode. I think it was a great season premiere. It's one of my top 10 favorite episodes of the series.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to the next one?
I would say it's definitely in my top 3.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're on to the second episode of Season 2, which is Tales from Camp Convenience. Now, this episode is a Halloween special, and it's 3 stories that are supposed to be unrelated, although the first and third tie together, which was the plan the whole time. It's us telling the story of... first off, they mentioned that Crazy Pete was killed at the end of Season 1. And so this episode is resurrecting him, so that's what the first and third stories kind of tie in. More so the third story, but the first one does tie in, because with Crazy Pete dead, Silver, the serial killer, has taken over Camp Convenience. And Silver's a character that I actually based off an old Amazon reviewer who deleted his account later on, but he used to leave all these negative reviews that always said, like, the same shit. Like, he'd always be like, it's a stupid, poor show, it's a stupid, poor drink. Like, he said stupid, poor a lot, I don't know why. But he would also just complain a lot. And like make really weird nitpicks, so I was fascinated by him, and so I made him a character in Sarge and Friends. Well, actually, I gave him his own show called Silver Reviews. So this is, I guess, technically the first crossover episode of Sarge and Friends, because it brings... I guess no, it's not, because Tub of the Heart was originally his own show. But this is a crossover episode because it introduced Silver to the Sarge and Friends universe.
My favorite joke, I guess it's a running joke. It's just the people getting killed by Silver.
Mm. And they're just screaming in agony.
Yeah, it always surprises me even, and everybody says that that's like the funniest thing I do is like how usually I'm more of a quiet person, and then I'll try and freak people out by yelling or so. But I like in videos when all of a sudden I just hear myself start screaming about how much I'm in pain.
I also really like the erection puns at the beginning with Quiet Rob when he's like, Crazy Pete resurrection. He's like, I have a resurrection. And then he's like, Crazy Pete is rising. He's like, you know what else is rising?
And then they start talking about like beating women, raping women.
Yeah, well, both. Yeah, like because he's like talking about because Gay's like, that's enough of that, and he's like, that's what my girlfriend says. He's like, no, but you didn't take no for an answer, did you? And he's like, I showed her what's what. He's like, that's good. You put that bitch in her place. And again, these characters are God, and they're fucking horrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like when they're trying to rob the old lady.
Yeah. Why didn't we just kill? We should have killed her. It's okay. We'll kill her later.
Yeah. I also liked how the creepypasta about Sarge and Friends sounded exactly like an actual creepypasta somebody would write about Sarge and Friends. Like it sounds like just any other creepypasta. They all sound kind of the same.
Yeah, and like Anthony ad-libbed that entire thing. I gave him like a couple of bullet points that I wanted him to do, and he made up all like...
He did it perfectly. He did it perfectly. He did really good on this stuff.
Well, and it's funny because the guy Bootman Bill is the guy who sells him the cursed tape, and the thing is Anthony doesn't know the reference what Bootman Bill is from. At least he didn't. Now he does because I've explained it to him because of just how coincidentally he perfectly described the actual origin of Bootman Bill. Because, like, Bootman Bill comes from this terrible creepypasta called Call of Duty Black Hell Ops. Mm-hmm. And, like, the reason I say it's so perfect is because I intended for it to be Bootman Bill, but I didn't tell Anthony anything about it. And when Anthony's describing it, he's like, the store clerk kept looking at his feet. And I'm like, has he read this shit? Because that's literally what it says when Bootman Bill is introduced.
Did he read it?
No, he had no idea. That's what makes it so perfect. Because Bootman Bill is, like, again, it's a recurring thing on the channel, but, like, it's also, like, a character now in Sarge and Friends, and also, I have more intentions for him, but I don't want to spoil those just yet. But Bootman Bill staring at his feet, again, I forgot that happened, and then I re-listened to the creepypasta, and I'm like, wait a minute, Anthony said that. And so, he didn't even know it, and he perfectly did that. And then, of course, the third story is Crazy Pete Resurrection, which, again, that's the one with Gay and Quiet Rob, bringing Crazy Pete back from the dead, which is why Crazy Pete is a zombie now, and he's like a Jason Voorhees type character.
It's perfect. And he literally has like the same life as Jason Voorhees, where he was like just a crazy hermit in the woods.
Uh-huh.
Now he's a movie.
Yeah. But also, if you remember, in Little Bastards, he was originally like a real estate agent that was like kind of a role model to Sarge and his brother when they were kids. But like they treat him like shit and eventually drive him crazy, and then he hits his head and becomes Crazy Pete. Spoiler, by the way, but we'll get to that eventually, hopefully. And also introduced his brother as a one-off joke, Crazy Repeat. Boo loo loo, I'm Crazy Repeat. I also think one of my favorite jokes is when I'm singing the Devilman song, and like I go like, you know the part that goes ah kumano chikara. The beginning, the ah is kumano chikara.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anything else you want to add, or shall we move on?
Wait.
Okay.
Easy come.
Easy come. All right, now we're on to Cannibal Islands. One of my personal favorites, and I think our most accurate parody out of the parodies we've done. It's a parody of Cannibal Holocaust, but also kind of Scooby-Doo, sort of, because the crew that goes to the Cannibal Island are like the Scooby Gang, and they're completely original characters that don't resemble any real people. There's no resemblance. Anything like that is coincidence, of course.
Yeah.
So that said, we get introduced to, what was it, Keithan Bline, and Bogan Ball, and Keela Tequila.
Again, nobody inspired by anybody.
Yeah, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. All of them obviously die, because that's how Cannibal Holocaust ends too, spoiler. But Bogan dies by flying into the sun in a helicopter, and he talks about how horrible it is. Like, this has a couple recurring jokes, obviously. There's the, what are you talking about? This is hot. That happens twice. When Keela Tequila is being ripped apart, they're like, this is horrible. And then Keithan is like, what are you talking about? This is hot. This is what I'm into. And then when they fly into the sun, the pilot's talking about how they're going to fly the helicopter into the sun. And Bogan's like, oh, this is horrible. And he's like, what are you talking about? This is hot, because it's the sun. This, I think this further cemented the Takeshi story arc as it currently is. Like, we had the Takeshi arc kind of introduced at the end of Season 1 with Takeshi and his army being introduced. But then this one expands on it and begins to set up the stuff for the next few episodes that Takeshi's plot would have.
You had a funny screaming moment in this episode, too.
Which one?
The Scooby-Doo getting eaten.
Oh, yeah. And like how Bogan's like, what's that, boy? You say you're going to sacrifice yourself for a Scooby-Doo snack? He's like, no. And he's like, I'll take that as a yes. And then he just chucks him at the cannibals.
Yeah.
And like, poopy to Scoob.
Yeah, it's a good one. We forgot about Thick Nerd.
Yeah, well, no, we're going to bring her back in Return to Cannibal Island.
Yeah, but in the actual episode, we forgot her.
Well, that's why...
We forgot to kill her.
Right, which is why she'll be in the return. Because remember, spoiler, little sneak peek for those of you. She's Queen of the Cannibals now, if you remember.
Yeah.
But also, her name is going to be changed. Like, Thick Nerd's a nickname now. Like, it's a retcon. Her name's actually going to be Smelma Stinkley.
Smelma Stinkley.
Yeah, because, Velma Dinkley.
And then, I was telling you to talk.
Okay. Well, yeah, also this has, that confrontation at the end, which is a reference to Mortal Kombat 4, when, Takeshi's like, going somewhere, Sarge? Takeshi, I thought I was what, dead? Like, it's a reference to Jax's ending from Mortal Kombat 4, Jax, I thought you were going to, thought I was what, dead? Which is very clearly not what Jarek was going to say. Yeah. Like my partner, you just dropped off the cliff there. But yeah, this sets up the plot. It ends with the hint at the briefcase, which would be a major part in Always Stunning in Philadelphia, as well as Sarge and Friends Quarantine. Anything else?
I also liked, this is the fourth.
If that isn't an excellent fourth goddamn time you've kicked me, I don't know what is.
I'd say overall, I like the gore. I think I could have done better on the gore drawings.
Yeah. But I think this was like the best.
Gore drawings are gonna look really good though. Now I think about it.
Yeah, but this was like your first time doing like graphic gore in the series, though.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely gonna get better at it as the series goes on.
Yeah, I think in Gat Origins you did it really good too, but we'll get to that in a minute.
I like that the series is getting gorier.
Yeah, and it's also getting, like, darker and more offensive, too. Like, I'm much more willing to say, like, edgy shit in the series because I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was originally very toned down when I started it from, like, what Sergeant Bastard originally was.
Yeah, the early episodes are kind of wholesome to me now.
Yeah, like, they're still fun. Like, it's a fun look
The
back.
episodes are, like, so over the top, though. I like it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about Cannibal Island?
You can see through these episodes, though, that they're being structured better over time. Like, the episodes are actually starting to feel like actual episodes of a show. Like, I feel like this is actually almost like an actual show now.
Yeah. Well, and again, like, we start to get a little bit more with continuity, too, because, again, this sets up the Takeshi arc.
Yeah.
Which I think...
it feels episodic.
Yeah. I think... I don't know, like I said, this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This is definitely in my top 3.
Yeah, same. Anything else? Alright then, let's move on. Okay, so now we're on to Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is obviously a parody of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know, like, I remember when we first did it, I was like, I don't think we did a whole lot with that, but in all honesty, rewatching it it's not as bad as I remembered it being.
It kind of had, like, a different kind of sense of humor than the usual episodes did, I felt.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, it felt like, I don't know, I'd say this one's one where it's, like, just sort of, this feels a lot really improvised. I don't think it is, but it feels really improvised.
Mm-hmm.
In comparison to most of our videos, and it feels like just regular talking. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, we do improvise with Sergeant Friends to a great degree. We don't script anything, but, like, you're saying this feels kind of more like Bitch Who Stole Christmas, which was completely improvised?
Yeah.
Because if you remember Bitch Who Stole Christmas from Season 1, we didn't write anything down, we didn't plan anything, we just hit record and went. We didn't even do a practice run.
I like how this episode feels a lot more sarcastic than a lot of the other episodes.
Yeah, I could see it. And I feel like there was a few amounts of references to Always Sunny. There was a lot of things we planned to do that we didn't, and I think that's why I was initially disappointed the first time we uploaded it.
What was it we planned on doing?
We were going to make them, like, a combination of the Reynolds and the McPoyles, which is why they were incestuous, but we didn't really do anything with the incest. We just had them be incestuous. We were going to do a lot more, like, actual Always Sunny references, but in all honesty, I think that we did a good amount. Like, I think it's good that we didn't do too much. I think it's good it was its own thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, the whole reason the rival bar was called the Water Hole was so I could have a Woody-type character say, "Somebody poison the water hole."
But you also got in a good one where he's like, "You don't look too much like a baby sister. You look more like a pilgrim."
Yeah, and that's more of a reference to the way John Wayne talks in his movies, which is what I was going for there. And also, the Danny Doritos plan of, like, going undercover as a woman with, like, vodka is also kind of a reference to JoJo with the the Joe stuff. I brought tequila. It was kind of a reference to that, too.
At first, I didn't like the weird Danny DeVito voice I was doing in this, but I think it didn't set... I could definitely do it better than that, I think. I'm Danny DeVito!
Yeah. I don't know. This also was the episode that established that Quiet Rob is brother to Susie, and also revealed that Danny DeVito is their father. But it also revealed that... Quiet Rob is incestuous with Susie, who was also incestuous with her other brother, which, if you didn't pick up on it this time, Corbin, her other brother was the first person Silver killed in Tales from Camp Convenience, where he's like, tell my sister Susie I love her. Yeah. And so, like, that's what this was all. Like, we started out trying to make Danny DeVito, like, a super nice guy, but then in the second half, we just decided to make him, like, an asshole, like Frank Reynolds. But, like, but then, like, Susie even calls out. She's like, "Wait a minute, you don't act like this." He's like, "Oh, we're breaking continuity now. Shut the fuck up." I don't remember what he said, but he's very dismissive about it. But
yeah, he just becomes a jerk for no reason. He's like going crazy about rum ham because he gets like really like he starts salivating and thinking about the rum ham.
Right. And this episode also. Was the second one to have the briefcase, which I wasn't originally going to have the briefcase do anything, but then it became a major plot point in Sergeant Friends Quarantine, because, remember, he gets the briefcase at the end of Cannibal Island, which we actually recorded this before Cannibal Island, but we uploaded Cannibal Island first, which is why we put the briefcase scene in at the end, because we knew we were going to upload Cannibal Island first. But like the briefcase is obviously going to be a reference to Pulp Fiction. Like you're not supposed to know what's in it. Like it's like kind of like the end of Pulp Fiction. But then like that's why they're like, I can't believe there's, and then it cuts away when they're trying to tell you what's in the briefcase. But then in a Sarge and Friends quarantine, we find out what was in the briefcase. Another interesting tidbit. This was the last episode.
I also like how the
okay, I'll just go first. I was going to say this was like the last episode that we recorded that there wasn't any issues with. Like, we recorded this before I took my break. Like, granted, we recorded a couple others after the fact, but we didn't edit those because it didn't have any art from you. So this was the last one that went as planned for the first half of season, or for the second half of season 2. Like, this is the last one that we did. Like, so I consider this the end of the first half of season 2, even though it's only like the first third in. Because this one all went according to plan. We uploaded it, and there was no issues.
But something I've noticed as the series goes on is I think we now have like so many running jokes that the show's a lot easier to write, and it can feel a lot more formulaic, and I think that helps make it feel more episodic as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, a book.
All right. I'm ready to watch the next.
All right, well, that's Always Stunning in Philadelphia. All right, now we're on to Gat Origins, which was recorded shortly after Philadelphia, but actually wasn't uploaded until like the end of 2020, like November, because I was taking a hiatus, and I hadn't talked to Corbin for months. And with this one, Corbin did about half of the art for the episode, and I didn't have the rest from him, and I wasn't in contact with him, so I couldn't get the rest. And so eventually, I held on to it for a while, but eventually I'm like, all right, I'll just do the other half of the art myself. So that's why this episode's actually like half Corbin's art, half my art.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first half of the episode is just exposition. It's a backstory for Gary Gat. The second half of the episode has nothing to do with that, and is just about Sergeant Bastard getting arrested and introducing Gaylord.
It was just supposed to be a little joke at the end, but then we kept going with it.
Yeah. I think it's pretty great, though, because it introduced Gaylord, who was a character I planned at. Because Gaylord I actually made up at the same time I made up Sergeant Bastard. Because he's one of, like, Sarge's original army platoon. He's one of his old war buddies. But, like, Gaylord's purpose was Sarge didn't like him because he was gay, so he would constantly, like, send him off on suicide missions to die. But somehow Gaylord would always come back. And then Sarge kicked him out of the platoon, but Gaylord kept coming back, and, like, he wasn't even allowed to have guns anymore. He just had a squirt gun. But yet he still kept showing up and still actually winning every suicide mission Sarge sent him on, so he gained his respect. Also, if you can't tell, Gaylord has, like, a second Gaylord is hiding something. He's a lot more powerful than he pretends to be, which is why he has that, like, listen to me, you little shit. Like, he's actually, like...
Is he really gay, though?
No, that's part of the act. But he's a secret badass. He's actually, like, an expert hitman.
He seemed like an overall nice guy to me.
Oh, yeah. But he's, his whole purpose in life is to protect Sergeant Bastard. We'll get into that a little bit more in later episodes, but Gaylord is Sergeant Bastard's, like, protector. He's like his guardian angel.
I've noticed, like, the first, like, I think we actually did pretty good at crossing humor and, like, the actual story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got Gary Gat lore in there.
Yeah. And, like, if you don't know, Gary Gat's backstory was inspired by several things. It's inspired by 91 Days, which is an anime. That's the thing it's most inspired by. Because that intro is very similar to how 91 Days begins. Like, the way, like, he runs out of the cupboard and gets chased by, like, the hitmen trying to take him down, and he runs to his friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
But his friend, obviously, his name is Riofith, which is a combination of Rio and Griffith, so I think we both know that's gonna go well. He's probably...
They're gonna be a long-term happy friendship.
Yeah. But then we had, all the mafia stuff. And I'm glad that I had Corbin there, because I wanted to do that episode completely straight-faced, like completely serious, with like hardly any jokes. But then because Corbin was there, we managed to get some jokes in, and I think it was a good balance that way. I think we helped balance each other out on that.
I've noticed most of the comedy is like in the beginning and the end. In the middle seems to be most of like the actual story.
Yeah, and then of course we have the second half that's all comedy, because it's back to Sarge and Pedro.
Yeah.
And the whole reason we were even having that Sarge and Pedro scene in the first place is because I have a rule of Sarge and Friends, that Sergeant Bastard has to have at least one spoken line in every single episode. And of course we had the "Oh look, a book" come back. I don't know why. It wasn't even that funny the first time, but
It was funny. I thought it was funny.
No, but I think the thing that's funny about it is it's such a joke that's not really particularly funny on its own, but the fact that we keep using it makes it kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a receding hairline.
All right, then. We'll move on. Okay, so now we've watched The Amazing Super Sham, and this one was recorded right after Gat Origins. But again, this one wasn't uploaded until, like, March of this year, because once I started talking to Corbin again, I had him finish the art. So again, we're going in, actual order that they're supposed to be in, not the order they were released in. Which is how the playlist is, too, because there is continuity, as loose and crazy as it is. So, with this one, this is actually the second one to have Chutters' new title card. I forgot to mention it in the previous episode, but we used Chutters' updated title card that has the more characters on it. I really like the way this one starts out with the Demon Beast invasion reference, with Bogan falling down to the earth in like a meteor and crashing into the city. That's like my favorite scene in the episode.
That drawing would have been so much better if I had used my tablet, though, not my computer. Because I could have gotten like actual space details in and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like
I have a lot of fun drawing space lately.
Yeah. I like that this episode like confirms that Bogan survived going into the sun, because apparently flying into the sun just turned him into a superhero like Superman, where he has super strength, but he's weaker than Good Brother. This also brought back Beaner as a ghost, an interdimensional ghost, since he was from the alternate universe. We had to bring him into this one by making him an interdimensional ghost.
Yeah. So
he escaped from the real world into the TV show world. It's confusing as shit, but I don't care. Because I
like his ghost design.
Yeah, we needed Beaner back anyway. I like how he looks kind of like a chili pepper as a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's what I think of when I see the design.
I don't know what I was thinking. I just like the way it looks. I like the long fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, this introduces a vital character, the ghost of Jack Jackson, who was in episode 17. And what that whole
introduces the character that was also in episode 17.
Also, when I say wait a minute, you weren't in Cannibal Island. Cannibal Island is actually episode 18, so I actually fucked up when I said that. Yeah. But like the whole reason the Jack Jackson thing happens is because I was gonna end the line on, if that isn't excellent foreshadowing, I don't know what is. But then Corbin just kept going with the "Hi, I'm Jack Jackson."
It was I think I was making a joke. What's the guy's name in Bates Motel? The fake name he does in the final season.
I don't remember.
He calls himself something really dumb, but I think it was something like Jack Jackson, and I thought it was really funny. He had a really dumb name.
I don't recall that. Are you talking about Sam Loomis, right?
Yeah, he did a fake name.
Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, that was that. This episode was pretty fun. I thought it was a good one, because it introduced Bogan's superhuman strength, and it introduces us to Pudge, who is a very unfortunate boy.
What do you mean? He gets to hang out with a cool superhero.
And he also has regenerative abilities.
He gets to wrestle.
Gets to eat his vegetables.
He has friends who make sure he eats vegetables every day.
At least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
He seems to be living it up.
Oh yeah. Well, you know that the house Pudge's house. Do you know how I got the picture of that? Because it was just a Google image. I literally Googled crack house and used that for Pudge's house. Also, I like how the terrorist character, the Mr. Johnson, I guess is his name, because Pudge says goodbye to him. So he was the character previously who Gaylord let out of jail. Then
he got let out of jail and then started calling Pudge.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be like a terrorist, so he's like a big combination of like horrible things.
I like how his name is Mr. Johnson, though. Originally that character, when I drew the picture, his name was supposed to be Arab, because he was an Arab. That's that. There's not a whole lot to say about this one. It's good, fun superhero stuff, and it has, Good Brother in it, teaching Bogan how to be a real hero. And it sets up Bogan as a superhero. A reluctant superhero who helps people if they have enough money. And if it's good for his reputation.
Yeah, if they have enough money.
Yeah.
Overall good episode.
Yeah,
I like how Bogan, I like how his character's changing. I like the direction it's going.
Yeah. Fun character. I like having him in it. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, that was a Sarge and Friends Quarantine, which was a weird episode, because I made it on my own, but I used, old audio clips of you and Anthony to create, quote-unquote, new lines.
That wasn't me?
I mean, it was, but it was past you.
That was past me.
You like how how Pedro randomly turns into an elf at the end of the episode to say shit happens?
Yeah.
Because it was from the Christmas special, and instead of using the audio, I just reused the video clip. But yeah, this one, not my favorite episode. It was mainly just an expositional thing to get another episode out, to kind of explain why there was a long gap in the show with them all being sick with the coronavirus. It also revealed that the briefcase had the virus in it and got everyone sick except for Sarge and Pedro. And we also established that ghosts can't get sick, but zombies can.
I wonder what would happen Sickety 2 days after this.
Let's find out. Alright, now on to Sickety 2 days later, which is the next episode. So Corbin did an excellent segue there. If that isn't an excellent segue, I don't know what is. So I feel like Sickety 2 days later is a lot better than a Sarge and Friends Quarantine, personally. I think it was a little bit better. Like, granted, it was another weird one where it was just me on my own. But
I like the introduction of Digger.
Yeah, because Digger will play a bigger part later on. But yeah, how Sergeant Bastard talks about how he's the savior and he's going out. Because
kind of reminds me of a video game character.
Interesting. Strange that you would say that. No, but so Digger was actually originally supposed to be a one-off joke. I didn't originally plan to do an episode about Digger, but it was actually a reference to a kid I went to school with who thought that he was gonna like stop the zombie apocalypse, but he called it the Zombocalypse. And I'll tell you this: the idea for this episode came to me like, again, very simple, but like if you notice, this episode is the exact length of the theme song to 28 Days Later. It plays the entire song. That was the whole reason I made this episode. Was because of that, because I thought of the title, because I thought, oh, let's make the coronavirus cause zombies, but let's make it like 28 days later, but like Sarge and Friends, because it's Sickety 2 days later. Like I literally came up with the title first, and I'm like, I'll use the whole song, and that's literally how I came to it. And granted, these last two episodes, a Sarge and Friends Quarantine and Sickety 2 days later, those are the start of the Apocalypse arc, which is a pretty short arc that we've already completed. But I think it's a fairly fun one. It's a little experimental, but I think it's fun.
The next one is, I think, the best one you did while I was gone, honestly.
It's a good one. But yeah, I think, because this one is just Sergeant Bastard giving an update from the bunker and kind of hinting at other things, because he mentions Niles and he mentions Neil, so he has a few callbacks to previous things. Anything else you want to add?
I like Sarge's uniform.
Yeah, his COVID suit.
He looked like, Surgeon Sarge?
Ooh!
So instead of Sergeant Bastard, it's Surgeon Bastard.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. That's clever. But yeah, is anything else?
Don't hide under the table. They'll see that you are unable.
That's from a couple episodes ago, but okay. All right, now we're on to Digger Rising, which I think it's easily one of the most experimental episodes of the show. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, but I like it.
Yeah, because what happened was I had established Digger in the previous episode, and then since I was doing like a coronavirus arc, I started thinking of like down with the sickness, because I made that pun with Gaylord where I'm like, oh, this sickness, I am not down with it. No, from me. And then so like after that joke, I was like, how can I use... And then I did the 28 Days Later thing where I synced up that episode to the entire song. And so then I was like, I'm going to listen and see if I can find a MIDI version of Down with the Sickness to use in a future episode. And I did, and I'm like, this sounds like a Doom song. And I'm like, Digger kind of seems like Doom Guy. And so then it just kind of clicked in my head to make Digger like the Doom Guy of this universe and just have him slaughtering zombies and like...
Yeah.
Make it into this badass thing. And I had all these ideas in my head of making it, like, really badass, but, like, I'm like, I can't really animate or draw all these cool pictures. And I'm like, so how the hell am I going to do that? And I'm like, well, it's Doom. Why don't I just draw a few pictures and throw in some Doom gameplay? And it worked out surprisingly well.
Yeah. That song does sound like it's straight from Doom, though.
Yeah.
With, the way that is. But,
yeah.
I also like how he's, like, a medieval Doom guy.
Yeah. Which kind of fits with Doom Eternal with all the Sentinel stuff.
Yeah, it's it's gonna be. I really want to draw stuff for Digger. I really I can't wait for us to get to an important Digger episode.
Yeah, There will be some. He's going to be very important in the final battle at the end of season 3. Final battle with who? You'll just have to wait and find out, audience.
Yeah, audience.
But yeah, Digger goes back into hibernation whenever he's not needed, because he's a guardian of the earth. Yeah. Well, he's immortal, but he can only be active when he's needed. Like that's how he works. He immediately like shuts down when he's not needed. Like he's not a robot or anything, but he comes to life when he's needed. You know. I think he's a really cool concept. I'm glad that he became a mainstay character, because again, he was originally supposed to be a one-off joke. So,
but I hope. I definitely, is he gonna start having like an actual voice?
Oh no, Digger's never gonna speak.
So he's gonna be like a silent hero that shows up and.
Yeah.
Fails.
Yeah. Why did you want him to speak?
I don't know how he would sound. He kind of looks like a Rick and Morty character.
No, I don't want him to speak. That's the thing. Is the whole point of Digger is he's the strong silent type, you know?
Yeah, he's like Doom Guy or Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I was going for with Digger. Is he's not going to ever speak.
Except the Sarge and Friends version of Jason Voorhees does speak. He goes, "Whoa!"
Well, and the other Sarge and Friends version of Jason Voorhees also speaks, but he reviews movies with a really fast voice. Because Silver's also kind of Jason Voorhees.
He's an angry critic.
It's true.
Yeah, why do we have so many different characters that are like Jason Voorhees?
I don't know, it's just how it turned out. A lot of overpowered characters in the series, too. One of these days, I'd like to do a video where I rank the characters from, like, least, like, evil to, like, good. But that's going to be really hard to do. Because there's a lot of fucking characters. And all the characters do something evil at some point. I mean, Digger I don't think has done anything evil, but...
Yeah, well, I think most of the characters are pretty evil.
Yeah. Like, I think Injun Jack's not particularly evil.
I think I know who the evilest character's gonna be.
Well, yeah, that's obvious. That's Pedro, but...
You just revealed it!
It's kind of obvious from the start out of the main cast. He's, like, sadistic, cannibalistic, he's the son of Hitler, so...
Oh my god, you spoiled it. Now everyone knows that Pedro's evil.
Shall we move on, or do you have more to say about this one?
Let's keep on moving on.
Okay.
As they say.
Alright then, that is what they say. Alright, so now we're on to Niles Gets Kicked Out, which was made in Plotagon. Wasn't that a thing?
I sure used that for a week.
Yeah, you sure did. But yeah, so I did so Corbin was doing a bunch of videos in Plotagon, so I just hey, I can steal that and do it with Sarge and Friends. I'll steal it! No one will ever know!
No one will ever know! No one will ever know!
But I decided to do that. And I decided, since Niles was mentioned in episode 1 to be there, and he just hasn't been part of the series, and then I briefly mentioned him in Sickety 2 Days Later once, I decided to actually show Niles getting kicked out, and then have Bastard complain that this animation is inferior to our, of course, slick, clean, quality standard animation we have for this series.
Yeah, kind of disappointing, honestly.
But I also threw in a few clips as a previously of some scam baiting stuff and stuff to kind of show Niles a little bit more with Sergeant Bastard. But yeah,
he's a sick freak.
He is. He's a sick fuck. Also, we gave Pedro a shirt that says non-violence, which I think is really ironic.
Why?
Good question. Pedro's. I mean, he is the sweetest most innocent person I've ever met. Just ask Gaylord.
He acts like he would be, but he's
not. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot to say about this one. It was just a fun little filler episode I did while I was still on hiatus, right? It doesn't directly pick up on anything. It's just another filler that I did on my own. Anything else you want to add?
I miss the good old days on Fugitive Red Ice channel.
Yeah?
I don't like any of this new crap he's doing. It seems like he's trying to, he seems like he's aiming towards, a new audience.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to aim towards any audience.
I don't know how to describe your content.
I don't either. Anyway, shall we move on?
It's like classic YouTube. I really like it.
Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, shall we move on?
I guess.
Okay. Alright, so now we're moving on to the good old days, which is the longest fucking episode of the series at 40 goddamn minutes.
Here's a little fun fact about this episode. It's actually the first episode completely written by me.
Yeah, during the time when you had nothing to do with any of the episodes that were being made. Yeah, sure, there you go. No, but, so, like, this again was me, because, again, this was still during the time when I was doing a lot of stuff on my own, rather than having Corbin involved again. So, this was, again, a way for me to do that, and, like, I wanted to do a clip show, but, like, not a clip show. So it's like a clip show that shows previous stuff, but instead of showing previous Sarge and Friends stuff, it turns all of the stuff from before Sarge and Friends into a Sarge and Friends episode. And it's got the future mecha bastard from the year 9000, from the year 2962, who's teaching the children, which is actually a thing that was introduced in Little Bastards, the spin-off, which we've only done one episode of so far.
This is like the most inconsistent episode of the entire series.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, their voices are completely inconsistent. The way the characters look is completely inconsistent. The way the story is not very linear.
Well, that's because it's just future Mecha Bastard telling a bunch of his about the good old days, you know? Hence the title.
Mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out.
What?
Which we could turn back time.
Oh, okay. Also this, this was mostly Captain Shame, but it also had Sergeant Bastard's first appearance readapted from, Gaming Retextured's channel, where we did a trolling video, which was the first time I used Sergeant Bastard online. And this was sort of also to kind of bridge the gap between the two series, since, Sergeant Friends and, Captain Shame are both canon, even though there are a few little contradictions. And I realized in this episode, I referred to Captain Shame as a podcast, which it kind of is supposed to be, like a podcast that Sergeant Bastard was on. But then, when I did the Season 3 premiere, I referred to it as a reality show, so I guess it's a reality show podcast hybrid, I don't know.
I mean, I guess those two could be the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of both, because it was mainly a podcast, but they, like, went on adventures and shit in it, too, so... but yeah, it's, the continuity's a little hard to try and get solid, but I do every once in a while try to do something to bridge the gaps, like when I did that, that epilogue episode to Captain Shame that ties the two together again. But yeah, this was, more of a filler sort of episode. I never expected it to be the longest episode in the series. I don't know if we'll ever top it. We probably will when we eventually do the musical episode, which will be probably at the beginning of, like, Season 4.
Uh-huh.
But that one's going to take a lot of fucking effort.
That'll be a thing.
It will.
It'll be a weird thing.
It'll be a thing, though. All right, should we...
I really like the original. I like the introduction to Sergeant Adams James Bastard III.
Oh yeah, talking about what's truly American.
Yeah.
Which was, again, originally from an Xbox Live trolling video on a friend of mine's channel, where we invited a random guy to the party, and I was playing Sergeant Bastard, just going off and saying shit like that.
The voice has changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah, and the characters have developed, too, and obviously my Pedro is completely different than your Pedro, which is why they're completely separate characters.
I was trying to copy yours to a T, but I guess I didn't do a good job.
Well, mine can't even be copied because I was inconsistent. Sometimes he sounded like fucking Borat, sometimes he sounded like a cholo, and sometimes he sounded like a wimpy little Mexican servant, so... I couldn't make up my goddamn mind what I wanted him to be.
I feel like my version of Pedro's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, he's the most well-developed character in the show.
Yeah.
Alright, do we got anything else to say about the good old days, or should we move on?
I sure do hope Neil got a better job.
Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, let's move on.
Like being a Navy SEAL.
Right. Shall we move on?
No.
Oh, okay. Moving on.
Wait. No!
Okay, wait, what? I'm still recording.
Wait. Okay, let's move on.
Alright, so now we're on to the Heart Gang, where Tubba and his brothers cure the zombie virus. And this one also introduced...
That episode...
I was going to say this one also...
Sorry to interrupt. You keep talking.
I was going to say this one also introduced us to Malsquando, who was actually a character I made up when I was a kid as, like, the rival of the Heart Gang, and they just, like, his whole character arc is he's, like, supposed to be, like, their friend, or they think he's their friend, but they just constantly fuck his life over. So I guess it's kind of like Rickety Cricket, but, like, That's not actually, like, I hadn't seen Always Sunny when I came, and I think I came up with it before Always Sunny was a thing, so it's just a coincidence there in that regard. But the whole point of Malsquando is the Heart Gang view him as their friend, but they just constantly fuck him over.
I like this episode had a secret Marvel movie ending.
Yeah, because it introduced Blooda in the post-credits scene. I think this was the first post-credit scene in the series, wasn't it?
I think so. There might have been another.
But there's definitely been more since then.
Now.
Yeah, there's 33 episodes currently at the time of this recording. But
this episode had a lot of heart in it.
RDRR. With the Heart Gang, again, these were all three characters. Like, all the Heart Gang were characters that I came up with as a kid, because my grandma made plushes of all three of them. The only one I know where it is Tubba, or actually, I don't even know where he is now. He's probably in storage somewhere. But the other two, I don't know what the fuck happened to him. But I like how this episode has, like, the tagline saying that Silence Jack would be the next episode, but it actually wasn't, because there was one more before that. But that's fine. It led into it eventually. But yeah, this one was pretty straightforward. Tubba cured the zombie virus with a magical machine with the help of Gary Gat bringing the parts to help him build it. Because Takeshi wanted to undo the fact that he caused the zombocalypse. Anything else you want to add?
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy.
Alright, moving on. Alright, so now we're on to Captive on the 4th of July, which I think is better than the first Independence Day episode, but still probably not one of the better episodes.
Wait a second, the 4th of July is Independence Day?
Oh my god.
Why are conspiracy theorists talking about this?
But yeah, this one, again, I do think it was better than the first Independence Day, because that one didn't really have any substance to it. This one didn't have a ton, but it at least had a few good jokes. It was very, very topical, because it was, like, in the heat of the fucking riots last year. So I, like, made, like, a kind of a commentary on that. And I made fun of this comment who was trying to say that, like, businesses getting burned down was, like, a good form of activism and shit like that. And I'm like, no, fuck you. And so then I made Officer Savage kind of quote some of the shit he said. That was actually a subscriber that I lost because of that, actually. But I don't really care because he was fucking stupid. But yeah, this one was, again, a lot more topical than a lot of the other episodes. But it had a few good jokes here and there.
I wasn't in it.
No, you weren't.
Sucked.
Pedro was in it. He said, "You told me to be quiet," but it was me saying it. Anything else you want to add?
Worst episode so far.
I don't know about that. I think the first Independence Day one was worse.
It was. But, no, I actually did like this one.
Yeah. But yeah, also the... What's that?
Except for that it sucked.
Oh, okay. What do you think of the Gamers Rise Up thing? That was kind of stupid.
I love those kinds of memes.
Oh, yeah. That was good. Anyway, I guess we'll move on. This one's pretty simple. Alright, well, that was Too Spooky for Sarge, which was a Halloween special that started out with me. I was going to actually do a bunch of just Sergeant Bastard reading scary stories, but then I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'll just make up a scary story, and did the whole Sergeant Bastard and Homo No Fuck You versus Siren Head, called Monsters in the Mist, where they're going around searching Camp Convenience, and they fight the ghost of the Gobbledygooker, a Banshee, a Wereboar, and Siren Head.
Since it's summertime, though, we could do, like, a campfire kind of special one.
Yeah. Like, we do, like, different scary stories told in the... like, the stories are reenacted with the characters as the characters in the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think Jeff the Killer I would want to do with Pedro being Jeff the Killer.
Yeah, there you go. But this one also had the random ending, which was a reference to the Silent Hill 2 ending, or the dog ending of Silent Hill 2 specifically, where, like, he finds out the dog was, like, pulling the strings all along and it was behind everything.
What's funny, though, is honestly, out of all the endings, that's my least favorite, because it's, like, the second comedy ending behind the Alien one, and I like the Alien ending more, and all the other endings are actual serious endings, so of course those ones are going to be my favorite, because they're actually real endings.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I figured since...
The dog ending is still really funny.
Yeah. Well, I figured since Kiki kind of looks like a Shiba Inu, even though she's an Akita Inu, but they're very similar dogs, I figured since she looked enough like it, I couldn't not do that joke.
Also, the reason the dog is controlling everything in Silent Hill 2 is because the fat guy in Silent Hill 2, I can't remember his name, But he killed a dog, and I guess that dog's like getting revenge for it.
Oh, I see.
And made Silent Hill just to torment that one fat guy.
Well, I'm glad that that's the true canon ending.
Yeah, sure, that's the true canon ending.
But yeah, this episode also showed Homo no Fuck You's true form, which he can only use once every 1,000 years, and it's just him turning into a baby that gets 20% bitchier.
Wait, how would his true form be the form that he uses the least?
Because this world can't sustain his true form.
I see. How old is he, you think?
Millions of years old.
Only millions?
Yes.
Lame.
Digger's been around for all of history.
Naturally.
Yeah. But again, we're going to do more stuff about Digger later on.
And his twin brother from Africa.
Yeah, that'd do it. But also, we had this episode. But also this episode. Oh yeah. Wait, I used a little bit of Halo gameplay footage when they destroyed the Banshee because it was literally a Banshee from Halo. Anything else you want to add to this one?
Marla, you tourist! I need this now. Get out.
All right, we're moving on. All right, so now we're on to Silence Jack, which was the second silent episode, although this one had a lot more dialogue than Digger Rising did. Because it started out with dialogue, then got silent, then had dialogue at the end. But Silence Jack was obviously a reference to Violence Jack, and in fact, for the fight scenes in this, I used a combination of like recording me like doing stupid shit in MS Paint for with Hypercam, as well as a few like images from Fist of the North Star, and then I just straight up stole some fight scenes from Violence Jack and turned them black and white.
It's kind of like the Digger episode.
Yeah. I think it turned out really well.
Yeah.
And it ends the Apocalypse arc to kind of resolve all that.
That was it. The Apocalypse.
Yes. But yeah, Silence Jack it was an episode I wanted to do for a while. I used a lot of music from Violence Jack as well, so I had a lot of fun making it. And it was the last one I did completely on my own, because Corbin came back in the next one after this.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of, should we move on to that one, or do you have something else to add about Silence Jack?
Wait. Wait.
Okay, Mr. Muniz, we're waiting on you.
What's the name? Gotta remember here. Anne Sullivan used a blind woman to push a socialist agenda. Screw Anne Sullivan.
I agree.
That's my message.
That's very relevant to Silence Jack, too, I agree. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, now we're on to the TV saga, which was a classic bait and switch, where we were building up the arc where, Corbin was returning to the show, and we were going to finally resolve the Takeshi capture arc. But then, of course, we did what South Park did between seasons 1 and 2, and did a big bait and switch in the middle to say fuck you in the middle of a cliffhanger. And it aired on April Fool's Day.
It did?
Yes, that was why we decided to do it like that.
Oh, okay.
Great
It
episode.
was a group of guys and a good laugh.
Oh yeah, has 4 little skits. We had the original Yogi and Boo Boo, which the whole reason this episode even happened is I was talking to Corbin, and he just suddenly started doing that. Boo Boo, tell me what's in that picnic basket, and he's like, no, it's a gun. Kind of cringe, honestly. Like, he was doing that whole interaction. I'm like, we should just do this in Sarge and Friends. He's like, oh, okay. And then the SpongeBob one, I think is... no, the Big Bang one came next, and then the SpongeBob one. So the Big Bang Theory one was just me shitting on the Big Bang Theory, but then Corbin started adding to it by, like, putting in this stuff of them being held captive and stuff like that.
Just because, Sheldon's a psychopath.
Yeah. But then, after that, we did the SpongeBob one, which I did using a SpongeBob and Vegeta text-to-speech. That one was completely just made up on the spot as I was doing it. And then after that was the Death Note one. And the Death Note one, there's one joke I really like in it because it happened completely by accident. But I looked up a picture of, couple, And so, like, this picture came, and it came with a subtitle. This was not from me. This was the subtitle that was already on it when I got it from Google Images. And it says, a heterosexual millennial couple is spending time with each other outside. And so I just left that caption on. And that's, like, one of my favorite jokes in the episode, just because, like, why was that caption there in the first place?
This episode is one of my favorites, though.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's fucking funny.
It's definitely my top 5 episodes.
You should do a revised Best of Sarge and Friends.
Yeah, I need to do a part 2.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for this season to finish before I do part 2.
Yeah. So, and by this season, you mean season 3, which we're currently working on.
Yeah.
And season 3, we've already done one episode that's already uploaded. And then we're going to start another one soon, and that one I think will be better. But we have a few ideas. We like I said, I have like 5 seasons worth of ideas already planned out, at least.
I mean, every day I think of, like, ideas for the series. I just forget them frequently.
Yeah, so what happens is I come up with all the lore stuff, right? Like, I come up with all the big planning ahead with the storyline, and you just come up with funny shit. And that's how we balance each other out.
Because I've made, like, episodes that were supposed to be, like, mostly lore-focused, and I've...
added to them.
Added my sense of humor to it. Sometimes funny, sometimes only funny because of your reactions to what I say.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else to add about the TV saga? Wee-oh. Wee-oh. Alright then. Moving on. Alright, so season finale, to beat or not to beat, which resolves the Takeshi arc. That was quite something. Some of the best artwork.
Something terrible.
Best artwork in the series so far.
Yeah. I really like the squid part.
Yeah, the fucking octopus just take that, you slimy fiend!
Then he lets out like a blood-curdling scream.
Yeah. Also, this episode has Benjamin Nur introduce himself to Sergeant Bastard again, because we already did that in a previous episode, but I forgot that we did. So it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Doesn't make any fucking sense here, Jack.
Exactly. But there is indeed another Skywalker.
That was true. Yeah.
I think it was a pretty decent season finale. Finally tied up that arc.
I think it was good, except for a few minor plot holes caused by you. But
well, you mean like...
I think I saved it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, the Ghost of Beaner thing was me fucking up again and saying, let's do this bit, because I forgot that we literally did it in the Amazing Super Sham.
Yeah, and my last thing to say is Tobey Maguire is definitively the best Spider-Man objectively.
It's true. But also, one other thing I wanted to bring up, though, is that this episode had 2 jokes that we did in this episode that we forgot that we did. So in the Season 3 premiere, Sherlock Bones, we did those jokes again, which was the Ooga Chaka thing. And the annoying nerd being like, actually...
Yeah, but Sergeant Friends typically doesn't reuse jokes like that. That's beneath Sergeant Friends.
To be fair, though, yeah, like... Recurring jokes are a fun thing in this series, so I guess it's fine that we reuse those. It just wasn't intentional in this regard.
I still think it's funny that every cult group or like anything like that, they all go ooga chaka, ooga 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 chaka, ooga ooga.
I guess we'll just keep that as a thing from now on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the season 2 finale. We've already done 1 episode of season 3. Also, one thing that we haven't done a commentary on, but maybe we will once we finish it, is Little Bastards, which is the spin-off, which is only going to be like 10 episodes long total.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to do a second spin-off called I Was a Teenage Bastard, but I think that's actually just going to be an extra long special episode of Sarge and Friends. Because I think we have too many spin-offs planned as it is. But also, I think that's about it. Anything else you want to add before I end the video?
Everybody should look into the Charles Manson case a little bit more.
Agreed. Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga. Okay, goodbye.